Hey guys, Bryan here from Liquid Concepts. So doing another weekly tips and tricks video, and on this video we're actually going to be doing more on the stenciling and custom one-off look. Now this can be applied to, of course, in this case, like a gun. You can do it on ATVs, four-wheelers, you can do it on cars, you can do it on coolers, you can do it on anything. But kind of want to just go over a quick little video, kind of some tricks about doing just different things. And so of course, you know, on this case, we're going to be doing a Cerakote stencil. So we're going to have, we've already got our Cerakote applied, we've already got our stencil mostly applied. We got to come back, cut off some of the areas and pull everything back apart once it's completely finished. But kind of wanted to go over a couple of things and just kind of show you some differences on what you can do, instead of if a customer wanted a pattern like this and you maybe didn't have it in a hydrographic pattern, you can still do it in a custom paint or a Cerakote or something like that and still get the job, still get the customer exactly what they want. So what we've done on this is we've got an American flag, so we've got all of our quad rail, we've got the barrel, we've got everything all kind of mocked up, just enough to where this is the way that it's going to look. And then once we get everything done, we're going to come back in with our knife that we've got here and actually cut all the areas out so we can take off the upper from the lower, take off the barrel, take off the magazine, the pistol grip, everything like that, and then spray them all separately. And then what we're actually going to do is, it's going to look really nice, is we're going to go through and we're actually going to distress it and make it look like a more of a one-off custom look. And so in this case, the customer wanted he wanted more of a waving flag, and then also they wanted more of the stars and the stripes to be more prominent on the gun. And so of course, by stenciling it like that, we can get it exactly the way that we want it on the gun, versus on a dip, sometimes it might move one way or another, or it might not go all the way in a certain area. So sometimes it's good to think outside the box, and yes, it's going to take more time on stenciling, but in the end, the customer's going to like it a lot better, and the look of the finish itself is going to come out better. So we're going to go ahead, we've got this all already stenciled out, we're going to get it in the booth, we're going to go ahead and spray it, and kind of take you through some of the steps on doing a job like this. And again, it can apply to different avenues of what you've got, but this should give you some pretty good ideas on other things that you can do instead of just maybe the Hydrographics alone. You can do the Cerakote, you can do the custom painting, or anything in between. So stay tuned, we'll get it in the booth, we'll get this thing ready and get it going for you. Alright, so we got everything already all stenciled off, everything's ready to go, we got everything cut, laid back down, everything looks really good. Now we're ready to start spraying. So a couple of different things. We got everything all completely tore back out, and they're each sprayed individually. Now sometimes you could spray them all as one depending on the part and depending on what you're doing, but in this case, because they are going all Cerakote, we are going to spray them all separately. And so one thing you can kind of see here is that this is going to be an American flag, so we're going to do, of course, the blue and the white stars up in here, and then of course the red flags, the red lines will start going down here. And so what we've done is just kind of tape this off right here, just so that we don't get any of the blue, of course, back down on this side right here. And then so we're going to put it in the oven, bake it, bring it back out, and then come back in and tape off this side and then spray where our yellow is right now. We're going to go in and spray that. So once we get everything sprayed with the blue, we'll bake it, bring it back out, let it cool off. retape it on the other side, spray it with the red, and then put it back in and spray it again, or put it back in the oven and then bring it back out, and then we're actually going to distress it. So depending on the type of pattern that you're doing, sometimes you might have to work a little bit harder on the vinyl. So vinyl wise, we use a lot of the Oracal 651. It's just a regular outdoor vinyl. It is a calendar vinyl, so it doesn't stretch quite as far, but in the most cases it works really good for what we're doing. Now you can also use a high heat. Avery has a high heat vinyl that you can use as well. We've used it in a lot of applications, but because we have plastic parts as well as metal, we're going to be baking it at a lower temperature. So the vinyl that we've used, the 651 in this case, it will actually work really well. Now sometimes you might have to go with different vinyls that if you've got some really deep recessed areas or something like that, you might actually have to use a different type of vinyl to get it to stick down in those areas so you don't get any bursts or anything like that where the paint has came up and underneath the vinyl, because you don't want it to lift. And so especially on little intricate parts like these and this right here, they can be something that could be quite a chore to get the vinyl to lay down exactly perfect. So take your time. It's going to take some patience. I promise you it'll be worth it in the end. So let's go ahead. We're going to get the blue already mixed up, and or get the blue mixed up, spray everything that needs to be blue, go ahead and put it in the oven. We're going to spray everything red that needs to be red, get it in the oven, bring it all back out, take all of our stenciling off, and then get it distressed and all that. But stay tuned. So we're going to go ahead and get this mixed up and get it going for you. Alright, so we got all the blue sprayed, we got it out of the oven, we've already went ahead and retaped the blue, and so now we're ready to spray the red and get in the oven the final time, get the to be able to pull everything off and then start distressing it. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to spray the red now. Like I said, we've already got everything masked off for the blue, so that way none of the red, of course, will be on the blue. We got a good line through here, and then we're going to spray it and then get it in the oven and get started again. So stay tuned. Everything done, everything's out of the oven. We have taken hours upon hours on pulling off all these little bitty stars and stripes, and now our fingers feel awesome, and so now we're ready for the distressing. So as you can see, we got our blue and our stars, we got our candy cane looking parts here, and so now whenever everything comes together, it's going to look really good. So of course right now it looks very bright, very bold. It looks kind of like a candy cane, all right? But customers wanting a distressed look, so now we're going to do the distressing. So this is where the fun part comes in. So what we got is we're going to be getting the graphite black, and again, you can use a regular black if you're doing a custom paint job or anything like that, but in this case we're going to be doing our black. And then first thing is that we're going to splatter a bunch of just random splatter all over the entire part, and then that'll kind of give it more of the grunge look. And then we're going to come back in and we're going to do two things. Number one is that we're going to highlight in black the recessed areas. And whatever I mean by that is like, take for instance on a part like this. This area that's right in here, this area in here, all of this recessed area up in here, we're going to highlight those and actually put more black in that area. And then whenever we're done highlighting all those recessed areas, you don't have to do every one of them, but it looks more realistic, because again, if you had a part and it was just constantly getting distressed and something just kind of went straight over it, then all in here, nothing would touch. But of course this outside, like right in here, right in there, all in this area, all of your corners, they would definitely get distressed. And so essentially that's the way that you need to think about that. And so same thing like on the upper, of course right here, that's going to be completely almost all taken off. But right in this area up in here, all down in here, all in these areas, those are almost going to be almost all black. Just because inevitably it's going to be one of those deals where whenever you're distressing the part, it's always going to look darker in the recessed areas. And so that's one thing that you want to do. And so then once we get all of this done, then we're going to come back and we're going to spray a light coat of black over the entire thing. Now again, this will be dependent on what the customer wants. If they want more of like an antique look, which is a really, really light black, or if they want more of a hardcore, like it was drugged through the woods for 10 miles kind of thing. It all just depends on how much black you put on there. And so again, we're just going to pretty much spray a light coat all the way around the whole thing, fan wide open, and essentially it's almost going to look all black by the time we get finished. Now, that's where the fun part begins. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take either a Scotch-Brite pad, sandpaper, SOS pad, a couple of different things that you can do, and we're going to actually go through and distress it. And so once we distress it, that's whenever the look of everything will really come alive, and it'll look like it's actually been through the woods and left outside and just rough, you know, a rough texture look. And so that's pretty much what the customer's wanting on this job, and I think you guys are really going to like it whenever you see the end result. So like I said, it's pretty bright right now, it's very flashy. Once we get the distressing on it, get all the black on it, get the specs on it, get everything looking the way that it is, that's when it's really going to come to life. And of course, whenever everything's all put together, it's all going to look really nice, because whenever we stenciled it, we put it all together first, we laid out the stencil, everything flows together, everything matches, and then whenever we come back in and we distress it, it's going to look even better. So stay tuned, keep watching. We're going to go ahead and spray some black on this and get it all distressed. Okay, so we got everything baked, we got everything ready to go. Now we're ready to start the fun part of distressing. So like I was saying before, you can use just about anything you want to distress it, depending on the level of distressing that you want to go. So in this case, for this customer, we're actually going to go with a red Scotch-Brite. You can use gray Scotch-Brite, you can use the green Scotch-Brite, you can use sandpaper, SOS pads, anything in between, steel wool. It's all fine, but it all just depends on the level of distressing that the customer or you want. So in this case, what we've got here is we've got, of course, pretty much just a almost all black lower, and you can see that you can barely see some of the faint outlines of what we've done, but essentially it's mostly black. And so what we're going to do here is we're just going to take this Scotch-Brite and we're just going to pretty much just go over it. Now I've got a fair amount of force on it just because we're wanting to pretty much scratch off some of the surface, and you can see how now that we've got this kind of broken off here, we can start just lightly going over it. And even like if we wanted to add more scratches to this right here, we can even come in and just gently hit these areas like this, and you can see how we're starting to get a lot more of those scratches in a lot of the Cerakote. Now again, this can happen with the paint. You can do this with just about any coating. The biggest thing is just knowing what type or what amount of distressing that the customer is wanting, and then you can go through here and in certain areas, if you wanted to add more or less, you can do that just by taking the Scotch-Brite and essentially going back over it more and more until you get the desired look that you want. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get these all distressed out and get this thing looking really good, really distressed. Again, you can still see just by kind of moving in different directions. We want our different scuffs in all directions, showing that it wasn't just all uniform like this. We've got some scratches going this way, some going that way, some going all different directions, so that way it looks more realistic and lifelike, and not just everything was all scuffed in this one direction. It doesn't look quite as detailed as what it should. And so again, we'll just take and we can go through here. Now remember, whenever I was spraying all those black specks and black dots that were all over these parts, that's what makes these little darker areas in this right here. Because I sprayed a black dot in these areas right here, they pretty much stayed darker than the rest of the area that I was scuffing around it. And so that's the reason why you do that, is because it helps create little pockets that might be darker and lighter just as you scratch over it. So it gives it more depth and more realism. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get all these parts distressed out. We'll kind of show you guys a few shots of the end result and everything, and stay tuned and we'll show you what it looks like afterwards. Okay, so now we've got everything all completely distressed. We've kind of put it all together to mock it up, just so you guys can kind of get a feel for the overall theme of kind of what we're looking for. And I think this gun turned out amazing. It looks awesome. We'll give you some close-up shots of it as well. And you know, the thing is you can go lighter, you can go darker, you can do a really light distress, more like an antique. You can do a heavy distress, show some really heavy wear patterns in it. It's all depending on how you want it to look and how the customer wants it to look. So I think this customer is really going to be happy with it. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I know we always do. If you have any questions, comments, definitely leave them below. We'd love to hear from you on what your thoughts are on it, or if you have any questions on a project that you're already doing, definitely let us know. We'll be more than happy to help you out. So I'm Bryan from Liquid Concepts, and we're making Hydrographics great again. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next time.